For too long, forensic science was treated as a second-class citizen compared to clinical science and clinical medicine. And with this report, finally, three major objectives are reached. One, it said that only those forensic disciplines where the foundational validity has been established should be used in courts where life and liberty are at stake. Number two, it said that we need to have an aggressive research agenda for those disciplines for which foundational validity does not exist. And number three, it urges the Attorney General and the judiciary to limit its personnel and to limit the admissibility of evidence to only those disciplines where foundational validity has been established and applied validity in a particular case has also been proven by the forensic scientist who's trying to introduce the evidence. Beginning with the National Academy report in 2009, all the way up to the PCAST report released this week, there's been an effort to try and transform forensic science in America to make it less about law enforcement and more about science and rigor. And the PCAST report is the latest and most comprehensive effort to solidify that reform and that transformation. Whereas the 2009 National Academy report called for the establishment of a whole new agency, the PCAST report works within existing limitations. It wants to use the National Institute of Standards and Technology to take on the role of evaluating the foundational validity of all forensic disciplines that are used in serious criminal cases. The science recommendations include an aggressive research agenda to improve the robustness and rigor of forensic science. Also requires that NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, take on the critical responsibility of evaluating the foundational validity of all these forensic disciplines, and only those that pass the test should be used in cases where life and liberty is at stake. I urge the Attorney General to instruct all prosecutors to stop using evidence for which foundational validity has not already been established. For far too long, prosecutors have been using questionable forensic evidence because it's superficially very compelling, although there is no there in order to get convictions. At the Innocence Project, almost half of our cases involved the misapplication of forensic science to achieve a conviction. This recommendation to the Attorney General will significantly reduce that kind of error. Courts are required as gatekeepers to only let that kind of scientific and technical evidence to be heard by a jury which is reliable, not only in the general sense, but reliably applied in a given case. This report lays out for the judiciary a blueprint on how to make that evaluation of each piece of profit forensic scientific evidence, something that they didn't have. Historically, we had a situation where two scientifically illiterate lawyers argued the bona fides of scientific evidence before a scientifically illiterate judge, so that 12 scientifically illiterate jurors could decide the weight of that evidence. This PCAST report will replace that with the tools that judges will be much more rigorous in the way they evaluate profit scientific and technical evidence to make sure only that which is valid and reliable is heard by the jury.